Welcome to the From Burnout to Recovery show with your host, Dr. Kate. This is where your journey to burnout recovery starts. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like work has become unmanageable? Join me and my guests for open and honest conversations about burnout recovery from the comfort of the front porch. I am here to help you build your resilience and prepare you for burnout in a whole new way through a variety of perspectives. Move past the idea that burnout can only be addressed by avoidance and work to integrate recovery into your daily life. Relax, take a breath. The From Burnout to Recovery show starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the From Burnout to Recovery show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio and member of the Cornelius Stephanie Media Group. I am your host, Dr. Kate, and I am excited to welcome you to the show today. Remember, as you are enjoying the show, hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and don't forget to download the KS Media Group app for all of the world's best influencers in one place. Today, we are going to be joined by our guest, Sarah Alysse. Sarah Alysse is a corporate stress management coach that helps companies cultivate a low-stress environment so that their employees can be happier and more productive. She is the creator and CEO of Live Well Enhance You, LLC, which formed out of a need for her Pilates clients to find balance in their lives. She branched into the corporate market to assist employees in creating out-of-the-box solutions. She utilizes her Bachelor's of Fine Arts, musical theater performance background to coach others on how to be confident and understand the connection between the brain and the body. Spanning over a decade, Sarah has collected an abundance of certifications from integrative medicine, from the Integrative Institute of Nutrition, STOOTT Pilates, to the National Academy of Sports Medicine. She has been featured on WGN Living Health and WGN Around Town segment as a stress management expert. Also, she has been promoted on Business Insider, Yahoo Finance, Authority Magazine, Brains Magazine, Cavo Daily, LA Wire, the Chicago Journal, the New York Wire, New York Weekly, Idea, Ments, and U.S. Reporter. In addition, she is the host of her own podcast, the Stress-Free Solutions podcast. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Kate.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be able to have this conversation with you. So to get us started, if you would just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your experience with burnout and how you found a space to recovery.
Shortly after college, I discovered that I was already burnt out. I worked day in and day out in theater. So I would be rehearsing 6 hours and then I would be doing my schoolwork and then I would go and actually start teaching Pilates at a gym. So it was always something going on. And I fell in love with Pilates and everything, but I knew that in order for me to succeed with musical theater, I had to start to reevaluate what I needed to focus in on. So it was very challenging the first year out of college. And I started developing migraine headaches and feeling kind of nauseous constantly. And then I just was like, I got to kind of break away and decide, okay, is it musical theater? Is it music? And so I decided a music Pilates combo was the right formula for me. Yeah. And I started writing my own music and getting in touch with my soul. And that's when I started that process of, discovering who I really wanted to be.
That's amazing. So in that journey and kind of that discovery of figuring out who you really wanted to be, what were some of the things that you first found out about yourself?
I found out about myself that I was extremely hard on myself. And I think it was from getting rejected over and over again. I'm like, well, there's something wrong with me. And maybe it was just, I didn't have the right hair color, simple as that. Or I was a different kind of build for what they were looking for that specific character. That didn't mean that I was too fat or too skinny or whatever. It was all something that I recognized stemmed from my audition experience, and kind of breaking away and doing my own thing was very therapeutic.
Yeah. I love that aspect of that realization of how hard we can be on ourselves sometimes. And I do think that there's something to that in, the theater perspective when your career is about auditioning and the opinions of others, that can be really hard for us to like get out of that mindset. What were some of the ways that you supported yourself in like tempering that self-judgment?
I would start self affirmations and positive affirmations, and also creating intentions for myself every day. So if I was going to get into this mindset of kind of the scarcity mindset, I decided, well, what's something I can do that will actually be positive for myself? And maybe it's like an activity that I need to do that makes me happy. So for me, that was sitting down at the piano and playing, and just that slow, and writing too. Journaling was great. And those two combos was just like the kick I needed in the right direction.
Yeah. So that kind of positive activities, things that infuse positivity into your life and being. I love that. Yeah. I'd love to talk a little bit more about your work in the corporate space and what you're seeing right now when it comes to employees and burnout.
Yeah. So it's funny because it was quite a change for me when I went from one spot to the other. And I had the connect the dots moment was when I was starting to teach, instruct in Pilates, cycling, bar, health coaching. I would go into these companies and they would be with me for 45 minutes at a time. And I noticed that they were in need of connection. Mm-hmm. And then when the pandemic happened, I decided to make a whole company around finding unique ways to bring that connection back into the workplace, whether that was at home or starting to come back into person, learning. So I crafted Live Well, Enhance You.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that work and what you've been doing with that since you've started.
Yeah. So I focus on 3 different areas: stress management and that piece of self-care that every employee needs, whether that's rest or stretch or just closing their eyes and breathing. And then movement is a huge component. I focus in on myofascial release techniques that everyone can do in their office desk and chair, and ways to step away with movement, whether that be walking or taking a nice jog like across the city to a park, just so that you can get some actual nature time, getting your feet grounded into the earth, and talking about just all sorts of things. And then the last one is nutrition, but I tie that into following your gut. So understanding the brain and gut connection and how they really can affect your work and your productivity.
Yeah, I think that is so important. I've definitely been reading more just in regard to nutrition. And I think some of the ways that we have looked at nutrition in the past and how it actually connects to the increase in disordered eating and those kinds of pieces. So I appreciate that perspective, the perspective you have of like connecting like brain and gut and how they connect together, and kind of that in both the intuitive piece, but also physically, biologically, how they connect.
Right. And I feel too, when people understand kind of the science behind it, they're not as afraid of nutrition, because they realize, oh, well, there's things in my food right now that are not healthy for me. It wasn't necessarily my fault. I wasn't aware of this. So when they get that piece, then they realize, well, I can make other little changes in my life too. So it's a great starting point for anyone getting into nutrition and health.
Yeah. What would be some of the things, our listeners, our viewers today, they're kind of like, okay, I think I might be in this burnout space. I'm guessing you are, dear listeners, because you found your way to this show. And so we appreciate and love that you're here in that regard. But what are some things that they might experience in their body, maybe specifically with kind of that gut connection, that can be an indicator that, oh, hey, I might need to look at this differently?
Yeah. So whenever someone is feeling full constantly, or on the opposite side, they feel empty, and the constant need to put food into their mouths, usually that's an indicator I'm emotionally eating and I am only making time, brief spouts of time so that I can digest my food. And that's not really great for your immune system. So it's just finding those points or being aware of those points in the day where you're like, oh, I'm feeling foggy. Well, maybe I need to go and drink some more water and hydrate my body. Or maybe I do need, have I eaten today? Maybe I need to make a meal and just sit down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the spectrum there is really interesting in that, like, if you feel full all the time. So I have definitely worked with and connected with folks who are like, well, I just forget to eat. And in that kind of aspect and being so busy. But I think that that's a part of it too, that maybe like the appetite just isn't being stimulated to like indicate that like, hey, I'm hungry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then certainly the other end of always kind of feeling hungry, and it's that attached to emotion in that aspect, and taking the time to just reflect on that a little bit and see where that is at. Yeah. That's so important. You also talked about that movement piece and those kinds of things. So let's say that maybe we have a listener on here who's like, I haven't found something that I really enjoy as far as movement goes yet. What advice might you have for them?
Simple as stepping away from your computer and going on a walk. Maybe you go on a walk with a friend, your spouse, your dog. I've even seen people walk their cats in Chicago lately. So just go out and get some fresh air, because just that alone is going to make you feel better and a bit more relaxed. We all need to step away from our computers.
Yeah. I think I can appreciate that. And I often talk about kind of like what's the micro step that you can take in that small, like step away from your computer and like walk outside for 5 minutes.
Yes.
In that aspect, walk up and down your street real quick.
Yeah.
And, just like stretch the arms all the way up and like get out of your chair.
Yeah. And some people that live in, either a house or could be a 15-story, 45-story building. You want to walk some stairs too. Mm-hmm. That will also help kind of get your heart rate elevated. And it's not as scary when it's just like, oh, I'm just kind of taking a walk upstairs and I'm going to come right back to my place. And like you said, 2 to 5 minutes, like just get yourself to move a little bit so you don't feel so stuck. And then you'll feel better by the end of the day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've definitely implemented this as, like a daily, like a practice, I can tell, kind of in a daily aspect to support yourself and kind of staying in that recovered space when it comes to burnout. What are some of the things that you do for yourself now on like a daily basis that supports you in that recovery?
So I have 2 different things. I take a break from screens, and that will be me playing with my dog usually, and just sitting down and just watching him run and chase after a toy. It just brings me such euphoria. And then the other thing I do, I'm such a View girl. I'm a big Whoopi Goldberg fan. So I will make myself a breakfast. And during that time, I do not talk to anyone, and I just watch my girls on The View.
I love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think having that piece, something we enjoy and that we can connect to, but I think the key that you indicated there is that you do both of those things without other interruptions. Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to highlight that, because I think that in this world of kind of, micro, like, kind of multitasking in that aspect, and always, doing not just one thing, but maybe 3 or 4 things at a time. And in that aspect, in your practice, like really focusing on like one thing in that moment and being present.
So much more helpful. And then my brain isn't again on overdrive. So that burnout cycle becomes less and less when I do give myself those 2 times a day.
Yeah. I giggled a little when you said that you love watching your dog play. And the reason I did that is because I have a chocolate lab, and she's the sweetest, like probably one of the sweetest animals that I have known on earth in this time. But she's 13, almost 14. She doesn't know how to play. Like, she doesn't fetch. She's not ball crazy. She is like, unlike any other lab that I have ever known. She loves snuggles. So we have snuggle time and those kinds of things.
That's
like, she
amazing.
loves pets, but watching her when she tries to play is kind of humorous, because she's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's probably, I mean, I'd see Presley try and hang out with other dogs, and he doesn't really know what he's doing.
She does not know how to play with other dogs at all. Like, our dogs in our neighborhood, we have dogs on like each side of the fence and whatnot. And she'll like walk up to him, wag the tail, and be like, I don't know how to interact with you. But
so gold.
Now that I'm bringing that up, I think that it connects back to us as humans, and that sometimes starting this process of healing from burnout feels really weird. Like, we don't know how to do that. Have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, it's because I think I was always, what's the next thing? Yeah. Right. So musical theater, I decided no, but then I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to go into music. And that was great for a while. But again, burnout, because I did too much of everything. And then Pilates and health coaching, I just kept going and going. And it wasn't till the pandemic where I really was like, this burnout cycle has come back in full swing. I was teaching 45 hours a week, which is a little insane.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. And 12 of those hours were they were monotonous, because it was just classes, and, you kind of teach the same thing over and over again. And then the individual clients, I felt like, wow, I'm not providing the kind of support I would want, because I was so tired. So that was when pandemic raised the prices. Realized I can focus in on the clients that I need to serve, and they'll be able to be there and support, my business. And that was my best decision, was recognizing I can't heal everyone. So I'll create programs for different groups and then have my smaller individual. And it's really helped. And I still do my music. It's just a different capacity now.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that piece, because I think it speaks to the aspect of priority setting, and really figuring out like our priorities in life, and how, we want to connect to different things in that aspect. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Of course.
So absolutely loving the insights that you are providing for us today. Sarah, if you were to leave our audience members with one additional piece of advice, what would that be?
I would remind everyone, this is one of my favorite things to say, is when you motivate the mind, the body will follow. And it's so simple, but it's very impactful, and it's helped me through a lot, and it's helped a lot of my clients.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So audience members, just take heart and know that when you motivate the mind, your body will follow. Great advice from Sarah Alysse today. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Is there anywhere that our audience members can find out more about you?
For sure. You can go to my website, livewellenhanceyou.com, and you can connect with me on Instagram at Sarah Alysse Coaching.
Absolutely. And listeners, we will have the website available for you in the show notes as well. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you.
How great were those insights from Sarah Alysse today in regard to that piece, and her last piece of advice, that when you motivate the mind, the body will follow, and how important that is for us to find that motivation in our mind and connect to that purpose. And when we do that, our body does follow back along. So encourage you to seek out something that will motivate you today. Before we move into our recovery moment, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Leave a 5-star rating and a review so that we can get more people involved, and share this with someone who needs to hear this message. Today, our recovery moment is going to focus on relieving stress through the stop, breathe, notice, reflect, and respond method. So let's get started with that. All right, dear listeners, remember for your recovery moment, we want to make sure that you are in a safe space to do so, meaning that you are able to allow yourself a moment to disconnect, to close your eyes, to rest, breathe, and relax. Let's begin by taking a moment to allow your body to settle. Find a comfortable position that allows your spine to be long, but with a natural curve in the low back. You can close your eyes or keep them open with a soft gaze downward just a few feet in front of you. Let the belly and shoulders relax. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and out. Today, I'll guide you through a relieving stress practice. In this meditation, we'll practice cultivating a sense of ease, openness, and space, even around difficult emotions. This practice can be an antidote for those times when we feel stressed and overwhelmed. Before we start, let's take a nice full, deep breath in and a long breath out. To begin this practice, invite your body to feel nourished and fed. As you breathe in, you can imagine breathing in all the energy and positive emotion that your body needs. As you breathe out, letting go of any tightness, tension, or toxicity. Breathe in warmth and openness. Breathe out tension or tightness. Check in with the body. See if any tension has come up in the usual places. Are your shoulders tense? What about your gut? Your back or neck? Soften those areas on your next exhale. Feel free to move or shift your posture if that feels helpful. Now, check in with your mind. Are there any stories taking up space that don't have to be there right at this moment? Invite them to come and to go, neither clinging to them or pushing them away. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, check in with the heart. Are there sensations in the chest or the front of the body? Notice any warmth, tightness, tension, or openness that's there. Just observing and noting without judgment. Breathe in and breathe out and see if you feel more openness, ease, or spaciousness than when we started. As we begin to close this practice, you might invite a smile. You may want to bring your hand to your heart, saying silently, "May I be well, may I be happy." Breathe in and out. May I be well, may I be happy. Remember, you can come back to this practice whenever you feel stressed or like you want to give yourself more nourishment or space. Let's finish this relieving stress practice now by taking a full breath in and a long breath out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the present space. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Remember, for more recovery moments, you can follow me at Dr. Kate Steiner on Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to the From Burnout to Recovery Show YouTube channel. I'm grateful to our guest, Sarah Alysse, and I'm grateful to each of you for listening. Thank you for joining us on the From Burnout to Recovery Show with Dr. Kate on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Kate, and I wish you peace on your journey. Thank you for joining me on the front porch today. Remember that you can still download your free Burnout to Recovery Reflection Journal on my website, drkatesteiner.com, and be well, my friends. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Kate, on the From Burnout to Recovery Show, where you are starting your journey to burnout recovery. You are invited to join me on the front porch every second and fourth Friday of the month on transformationtalkradio.com to continue growing in resilience and integrating recovery into your daily life. If you would like to learn more or find out how to work with me, visit liftwellnessconsulting.com.